fancy an electric city car that's actually cool, then the Renault 5 is exactly the right choice, and I'll give you just a really quick little look at it today. After a few years off, Renault is bringing the 5 back, this time as an all-electric model, now built on the brand new Ampere small platform for its long-awaited return at long last once more. Yeah, you can tell it's electric at first glance. I'm really excited. I especially love the retro design. It really appeals to me, honestly, very much. I like the old R5 look and how they've brought it into the new model. The classic square headlights are still there, but they somehow look a bit cooler and more striking overall. We've got a really cool daytime running light here. It all looks superbly and very harmonious. A nice little touch is the French flag in the main headlight, and of course it's full LED all around, truly. Yeah, and one more point. Back then up there was the ventilation nozzle. I say ventilation nozzle, the air inlet for the big turbo engines. Here we've got a battery level indicator up in there, clearly visible behind plexiglass as well. It all just looks really, really cool. And I honestly think the overall look just really suits it very well. Renault did an awesome job. Most important, a look under the hood, because that's what we all want to know. What can it do? What does it have? Yeah, what do you see? Not much to see. There really isn't a frunk. That's because we've got a front electric motor. I think it kind of works, yeah. What do you think? Drop it in the comments. What power levels does Renault offer? There are 3 in total for our Renault. 120 HP, 150 HP, and the smallest is 95 HP. I'd say that's more than enough, to be completely honest. If you really want more, you'll have to turn to the sister brand, Alpine. That's where it gets its proper electric punch. You charge it at the front left fender, right over there, exactly. The flap opens manually. We've got the regular Type 2 plug at 11 kWh and then the CCS fast charging connector as well. You can charge at up to 100 kilovolts. That's perfectly fine given the battery size, since we've only got 2 batteries here, quite honestly. One's 40 kWh and the other's 52 kWh. That's the big battery that's installed in our car at the moment, actually. Yeah, and because the battery is so small, the 100 kWh charging power is actually more than enough to comfortably recharge your battery on longer trips. Our Renault 5 in this generation measures 3.92 meters, so it stays under the 4-meter mark, and with those short overhangs front and rear, looks really compact. It's in the iconic 5 trim in yellow pop, proudly showcased here in the distinctive yellow pop paintwork. And if you look closely, you will see it's full of metallic flakes. It just looks super cool when the sun's out. Together with the black roof, the black side mirrors and the black fender flares, including the side skirts, it all looks really beefy, very much so. What you can, of course, argue about is this matte red trim strip that runs all the way around here. I think it looks okay. Not really my personal taste, but I'm sure Renault had a reason for it. They also put some thought into the side design. Up front, we've got a pretty classic handle, no electric bells and whistles. Love it. And at the back, a nice, clean panel. The door handle, typical for Renault, now just sits up here in the door. It's nice to use, it looks great, and it really gives a sleek 2-door silhouette. Even from the rear, you can tell right away it's a Renault 5. You don't even need the badge. And that cool, yeah, metallic looking 5, honestly, really, truly indeed. No, you can tell from the taillights they've got that typical Renault 5 design. And on the side, you even get hints of the turbo. I personally really like it a lot. Also down here, all the elements are finished in glossy black. That just makes it feel really, really quite premium indeed. The boot is almost 326 liters in capacity. It really drops way down in here. It's not huge, but it's a retro classic, and so I personally think that's perfectly fine by me, really, to be honest, truly. Here, design beats function, style takes precedence. Welcome to the interior. And in here, it's absolutely positively bursting with retro vibes, no matter where I look. It even starts with the reworking of the tachometer and the digital display here. It all looks just like the old model. Here we've got a 7-inch display. digital dash in there, a bit further over a 10-inch, the head unit, all finished in glossy black. The start button up here, that's all fine. What I find a bit tricky is the stalk control. The stalk for gear selection and the turn signal underneath it, which feels a bit cramped when you try to operate it. I caught myself a few times accidentally turning the wipers on instead of putting it in gear. Whatever, never mind. What else is there? A nice leather-wrapped steering wheel with a heater built into it right there. Down here, perforated leather and another satellite button. And these buttons here just feel good to use, really intuitive. That's really well put together, looks very, very classy. What takes some getting used to, but that's Renault for you, is the volume control tucked back here. You actually have to view it from the other side, that you can even see it. It's kind of, well, whatever. Nice little feature though, like the illuminated Renault 5 badge here, that small ambient lighting detail right there. And of course the leather-clad dashboard, it's foam padded here too. Up here on top, it's plastic, but hey, whatever. It genuinely really doesn't matter in the slightest. By the way, that's the glove box ANA 2026. And this here, yeah, that could be the glove box, 1976. That's just stuck in here as an extra. Honestly though, really, it's going to be a bit tricky if there's a passenger. I think it'll more likely end up in the trunk. Otherwise, the dashboard here really lays everything out clearly. We've got climate controls with actual buttons. This one really does have a single zone climate control, but we've got everything nicely within easy reach. Everything's really easy to use. You can see the indicator lights right here. And what I really like are the brake discs on both the front and the rear axles. And the rear axle also has an electric parking brake. That all works perfectly for me overall. That's round. We've got a Qi charging pad here. I can just toss my phone in here. Yeah, the key, this is what it looks like. Drop me a comment and tell me what you think. I'll just put it back in here. There are other cool things for that, like these holders right here. Or what's that? A little Renault 5 box. I've got my cup holder down underneath here. Everything's reachable, all good. Regarding the material, it's just hard plastic. But in the end, the seats more than make up for it, indeed. If you take a closer look at them, the Brunfro Retro Vibe. You look at them and think, yeah, they could just as well be from some really old 5 Series. So here with nice sides though, really thick side bolsters in a 2-component setup, I'd say really. We've got leather on the outside. Well, actually faux leather. We've got fabric on the center section. Yeah, and this yellow fabric here gives off that retro vibe that's being brought in, definitely. I really like it personally. Yeah, that's definitely part of the retro vibe as well. The seat is positioned for me personally at my height of 1.68 m exactly. I'm not exactly a giant, you know, but as you can clearly see, it's getting pretty tight back here, honestly. As a kid, you can probably handle it, but as an adult, you wouldn't want to knock out 400 kilometers here in one go. No matter how nice and stylish it is, that could get a little bit uncomfortable in the long run, if I'm being honest though. Anything but perfect weather. Not exactly ideal for a test ride, but hey, whatever. We'll just do a quick spin, and I have to tell you, you ride the first meter and you immediately feel totally comfortable. You just feel at ease, you sit in it really well, you've got everything in view, and you kind of notice that there's this compact little vehicle under your rear. And when I step on it here, it tugs the steering just a tiny bit, barely anything at all, honestly, but it really does drive wonderfully. And I'm actually kind of a front engine guy. I've always driven front engined cars really. Sure, you might have a BMW every now and then, but I actually like the front engine. I find they're so predictable to drive, and especially here in combination with the low mounted battery and the front wheel drive, I'll just give it some gas here in the corner. It evens out a bit straight away. We're doing pretty well out here. The display just told me black ice warning, so it's fun. I really have to tell you that. How clear it is in the rear view mirror. That's really cool, because what do you even actually see in new cars these days? You're glad when you've got a camera. Here you don't have one. At least not a digital rear view mirror. You've got a backup camera, just a normal one. We don't have a 360-degree system, but let's just drive a little bit. Takes getting used to really. This is the volume control, a bit more externally placed. And like I said, I'd already caught myself accidentally turning it on and off here, trying it on the gear selector. Yeah, you can't forget that. The speed limit warning, if I go over 50, it will emit a beep. But all the important features are indeed fully on board with our model for $37,000. We've got an adaptive cruise control system, a blind spot warning, and of course a sort of lane keeping assistant feature to be sure. This isn't a travel assist, but for this class of car, it's fine. To me, it's perfectly clear that we simply don't have that here at all. The steering wheel controls work really great. You can hit the buttons without ever looking. After you've driven it for a short while, you know which control goes where, which button is which. That's all really nice. I'll just turn the ventilation on a bit now, and that's also an absolutely huge advantage of this system here. When you've got buttons, it's just intuitive. It just works really well. Yeah, it's keeping me nicely in lane now. You really can't complain about the lane keeping assist. It's even actively steering along with me here, even though it's snowing. That's genuinely a cool thing. I'm only doing about 55 and it's already got full control. I don't get any warning at all right now. Let's see how long that actually lasts. Yeah, great. What more do you want? If I want to switch drive modes, I've got my multi-sense button right here on the steering wheel. One press does it. I can switch from comfort to eco or into sport. At the same time, the ambient lighting in the dash adjusts. You can really nail the accelerator there. I'm at full throttle, 114, 120, so it picks up speed pretty quickly already indeed. 150 HP is more than enough overall. Renault officially quotes a range of roughly 300 to 400 kilometers depending on the battery and its size. I think that's pretty ambitious for a 40 kilowatt battery or even a 52 kilowatt one if you ask me. Really rather optimistic, though overall all told. I doubt you'd really achieve that in everyday use, but I reckon you'll easily get about 250 to 300 kilometers with the bigger battery if you drive sensibly. There's also an optional heat pump here, which is particularly useful in winter to help preserve your battery and to regain range instead of just into heat and shove it out the windows. We've got recuperation. If I push the lever down here, I get the B mode, basically one pedal driving, which is basically the same thing in practice, really quite intuitive. And then you really notice it. When I take my foot off the gas, it already starts braking pretty hard. And you can see here how it even pitches forward a little. That's great for city driving, especially in stop and go traffic. Don't you still really have to move your foot from the gas to the brake then? That's really handy, and it disappears again really quickly. Just pull the lever here once more and you're back in normal D mode. Yeah, here you kind of feel it a bit. When I'm in the corner, the outside wheel lets go a little, the one that carries most of the load. But I'm really hard on the gas here. Our electric motor puts out a maximum of 230 Newton meters. That's perfectly sufficient. Top speed 180 km/h, more than enough indeed for a compact car in this segment. Might be interesting for some of you. We at present have 58% battery charge and a range of 160 kilometers. But the colleagues ahead of me had driven quite a bit more quickly when we took over the vehicle. So I reckon my 300 kilometers range isn't really that far off if I roughly extrapolate it like that actually. Heavier braking, it does that too, but because of the strong regeneration, you can already see it on the rear axle at 20,000 kilometers, since we have brake discs on the rear axle, that the discs start to rust. If I'm in eco mode now, you'll notice it too. When you give it gas or feed power through the pedal, you have to push the pedal much further down that any acceleration happens at all. The first 3 centimeters, it kind of feels like, really, it would feel empty, like you're stepping into nothing. Only in the last quarter does the engine power kind of kick in. That's really a very stripped down mode. To be honest, it's really not my cup of tea. Our iconic 5 starts at $34,400. We've got a few extras on board that push it up slightly to $37,000. But for that, you get the big battery, you get the larger motor with 150 HP, and you get a car that's almost fully loaded as standard indeed. Everything important is already on board. You've got an absolutely cool, striking design. I really like it. I'm totally into it, and I'd absolutely love it if you'd subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you won't miss a single video. Thanks for watching, thanks Renault 5, and ciao. See you next time. Until then, bye.